There we go. All right, perfect. So thank you everybody that's joined so far. Today, we're going to be giving you guys a micro lesson on how to improve strategic planning with benchmarking data, which is something we're really excited to talk about. Most companies take into consideration data from their own KPIs and not external. So we're excited to tell you guys a little bit more about how this works and how you can do this. My name is Rick Barcellos. I am Growth's community manager, branding community manager, and my job is to bring out the best resources that we can, make best practices available, and of course work with our partners to bring in content to help you guys that are watching be bigger rock stars than you already are. And to do this here today with me, I have my great friend Fedor from Databox. Fedor, if you want to talk a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Fedor Simic, and I come from a small city in Serbia called Subotica. I'm 30 years old, and I'm a partnership manager at Databox. What is Databox? Databox is an easy-to-use analytics platform that helps businesses centralize their data, enabling them to make better decisions and improve performance.
Perfect. So yeah, so today we're going to be teaching you guys a little bit about benchmarking data and how to use it. So Fedor, to get us started, go ahead.
All right, so what is benchmarking? So benchmarking is the process of measuring a company's performance against industry standards, best practices, or the performance of leading companies. So what are the types of benchmarking that companies typically do? So in my experience, I come across three types of benchmarking. One is competitive benchmarking. That's basically benchmarking your performance against your direct competitors. This is a limited a bit to the amount of data that you can benchmark against, because a lot of data is just not publicly available from your competitors. From an example that I worked on with a client, they were looking at their top three competitors, and they were looking at their following on LinkedIn. So they looked at three metrics from LinkedIn, actually. They looked at total number of followers, total number of posts for each month, and new followers gained each month. And they tracked all these numbers in a spreadsheet from their top three competitors and themselves. And they connected the spreadsheet to Databox, and they were looking at they were just updating the data each month. So they had one dashboard that they can see how they compare on their link with their LinkedIn against their top three competitors, and they were reviewing these dashboards on their company reporting meetings. Second type of benchmarking is benchmarking against industry standards. So that's basically benchmarking against companies similar to yours. Previously, to do this, it was really hard. So you had to access really expensive reports that were just not collecting data from companies similar to yours, and they were outdated immediately once they were published. So even though these were really long reports that relied on completing long survey forms, they were pretty much, well, not, I would say almost useless, but they weren't really relevant to you because they were just not looking at companies similar to yours. That's why we built our benchmark tool product, which you can use to directly compare your performance in in terms of a lot of different data sources. So we have 70 plus integrations that you can compare your performance with, and you can compare your performance against companies that are in the same industry as you, that are of the same size, and they are within the same revenue range as you are. So you can get really accurate benchmarks. It's not perfect, but we're still building the data set, and eventually it will be even more, you'll be able to find really, really accurate benchmarks. The third type of benchmarking is comparing against your historical performance. This is good because then you can compare your current performance against your previous performance and see how your performance changed across time. Oh yeah, let's.
Perfect. And then, like just to touch on it, why is it important? And it's one of those things where most companies these days are taking in their own data to make strategic decisions. I'm sure everybody here has got some sort of CRM platform, some sort of data collection platform. You guys are looking in at your KPIs and looking in how you perform maybe in the previous year and the current year. But it's always important to be able to take that benchmarking data and be able to analyze from a bigger, ample vision of what the top, bottom, and medium companies in your industry are doing. So to show you guys a little bit more how that actually works, I'm gonna let Fedor steal the screen a little bit from me right now and show you guys exactly how this all works within the Databox platform.
All right. First off, okay, this is what our tool looks like. First, I want to touch upon why it's important. So you were all companies typically ask themselves, like, is this good performance I'm getting? And they weren't able to answer that question fully, right? They were looking at their own data, and sure, the performance improved, everything was going good, but what is possible? Where is the limit? How do I compare against industry? Well, that wasn't possible up until we kind of released our tool. So with our tool, you can directly compare yourself in terms of performance metrics against your industry. For this example, I'm just going to use a Google Analytics 4 benchmark group for all companies. So this is just for all companies across all industries, sizes, revenue ranges. Here, so let me point out some functionality within the group. So you'll see the name, right? The description. You'll see who the group is for. So here we just use company size as a filter, and it's looking at the whole range, sort of 1 to 100K. And this is going to show you which data source is used within the group. You can find this group and hundreds of other groups here in all groups under benchmarks.databox.com. To join this group, you would have to click this dropdown and click Join Group. It will take you to this screen. First, it will collect some information from you about your business. So what is your business type? What industry do you belong to? How many employees do you have in the company? And what is your revenue range? All of this data is completely anonymous. So when you join a group, no one else within the group will be able to tell that you're in the group, or they'll be able to see your numbers, nothing. And this is pulling data directly from the integration. So this Google Analytics 4 benchmark group is accurate data because all this data is gathered through the Google Analytics 4 integration that companies have connected to either Databox or benchmark groups, and they have opted in to benchmarks. So when you click connect, it will ask you to connect your Google Analytics 4 account, and it will show you where you stand within the group. The blue charts are blue because we have not connected our Google Analytics 4 account to the group. If we did, the charts would look something like this. So it will show you, hey, this is me, this is my performance, and this is me compared to the group. So it'll say, where am I within the group? It will be either a green or a red chart, depending on where I stand. So this value is where 50% of the companies lie, is the median, right? The bottom quartile below this value is where 25% of the companies lie. While the top value, the top 25% of the companies perform above this value. And it will say something along the lines of, hey, you're either outperforming or underperforming against percent companies within the group. So that will show you the charts for all these metrics available in the group. When you look at a group, you'll see which metrics are available within the group. You will see which data sources are available in the group, and you will be able to curate and find the group that best matches your business, right? So let me kind of outline how you can interpret this data to maybe see how you're doing as a business. In this case, we're talking about website, right? Google Analytics 4. So in terms of, let's say you're killing it in terms of sessions, you're outperforming 70% of the group, but this is red, this is red, this is red. So these numbers, hey, look, you're in the bottom 30% in terms of bounce rate, in terms of session duration, engaged sessions are low. So what can they tell you? It can tell you like, hey, we don't need more people coming to our website. We might need to improve our content to best match our ideal customer profile. So there's something with our content that we need to improve, and these numbers would go up. Or it can mean that you, with your marketing, you're bringing in the wrong people to your website. So maybe there's something within your copy, with your targeting that you should change to get the right people to come to your website. And also there's an option to look at each metric on a timeline view. So when you click timeline, you'll see how the metrics and how the numbers within each metric have changed in the last 6 months, in the last year, or the last 3 months. And once you connect your data, the timeline will start to accumulate for your own data. So first, you won't be able to see how your data changed throughout the time, but as you stay longer and longer within the group, this all will change. And you can also share this. So you can copy or download this sheet. You can put it into a presentation. So there's a lot of different things you can do with it. And you can also share the link if you want someone else from your friends that own companies to join to this group. But yeah, that's kind of it from
Perfect.
this demo.
Perfect, perfect. And one thing is all data from that you, whenever you plug in your data, when you plug in your data sources and integrate them into the benchmark group, you do remain anonymous, right? So we
Yeah.
can see that in this group we have 8,476 contributors. Different groups have different amount of contributors, but they cannot tell that you're in there. So even though you're taking a look and a peep at how your competitors might be performing, yes, you can see what that data looks like, but don't worry, they can't see that you specifically are looking at it.
The only reason why we see a members tab here is because I'm logged in as our admin group. So this is the account that has created all the groups within the benchmark tool. So that's why we see the member tab here. So we can see who's in the group, but we can't see their data.
Perfect. And now I'll steal the screen back from Fedor.
Okay, let me just stop sharing. Forgot that I have to do that.
We want to cover. So we want to share a real world use. And Fedor, I'll head it back to you.
Okay, so yeah, this use case came from one of my partners. They're a big full service marketing agency, and one of their clients was actually an entire franchise of mental health clinics. They had I think around 200 locations. So the locations were spread out for the US, and they were in cities, they were in rural areas, and then they put all of these, so they had each location had their own Facebook ad account. Each rural area had their own Facebook ad account. They put all these Facebook ad accounts for all the locations within their benchmark group. And then they saw the the median performance across all their clients, right? So they saw how their average client performs in terms of Facebook ads. And they were looking at the average CPC metric, and they took a look at the bottom 10 performers. And they realized, hey, these bottom 10 performers, their CPC is not only the worst, but it's double than the rest. And they're all in rural areas. Their case was they're using the same creative and copy for all their ads, right? Because that's what the client wanted, right? But they figured out through this kind of view, through the benchmark, that the copy that they used was just not resonating well with the people in the rural areas as it was with the people in the cities. So they used this information to come to their client and position themselves as more of a strategic partner rather than just a taskmaster. And they told them like, hey, we discovered this through the data. There's no lying because it's data. It's directly from the integration. It's factual information. And they got in buy-in from their client. So this not only enabled them to be more of a strategic partner to their client, but it also helped them help their client better. And once they implemented new copies and new creatives for their ads, they saw the average performance of their group actually improve and it shifted. So this is just an example I wanted to share with you.
Right, and that's the cool thing about having access to benchmarking data, right? It's like how can you use this? Well, there's multiple different facets to it. One way that we see some of the customers that we've done our benchmarking consultation with here at Growth utilize this tool is, let's say for an example, you are a marketing director or a sales director and you're looking at different data, analyzing where you stand, and there's projects that you'd like to get buy-in from leadership to do. Let's say you know that there's a specific area you need more resources, you need to be investing more into, but you still kind of need to give a good reason for leadership to allocate that budget. Benchmarking data is a fantastic way to show them, hey, this is what the top companies in our industry are doing. Similar companies to us are doing this, and this is their results. They're better than ours. We should probably be investing into this as well. So it's great reasoning to bring in some analytical data to back you up whenever you're doing, budget allocation, whenever you're doing strategic planning. Also, in the topic of allocating your own resources and your decision making is taking a look at what the results from your efforts are based on your KPIs. Obviously, always important, and that's always going to be a big part of strategy, but also being able to look at what other companies are doing and seeing what you're allocating your resources to, what that is resulting in versus what others are doing and what that's resulting in is a really key piece of information that a lot of companies and a lot of leaders out there are not using today, and they absolutely should be. Because as we know, any great strategy is always derived from the data. Without enough information, you can make the informed decisions that you need as a leader to build out your strategy. And so kind of benchmarking data, utilizing these charts allows you to do exactly that. It allows you to have a full picture for whenever you're doing your yearly, your quarterly strategic planning, and whenever you're getting aligned with your team. It's also a great tool to get aligned between, we know, in our industry here, we always talk about that sales and marketing alignment and how can that can sometimes be tough. And that's just because sales has their own KPIs and goals, marketing has their own KPIs and goals, and benchmarking groups is something that allows you to put everything in one page and look at how that is cohesively working together to lead to specific results, right? And so on top of that, the cool thing is, I think Fedor mentioned this, there are hundreds of benchmark groups. They go from being very niche to very large. And so whatever area that you're looking to improve, or whatever area you want to check whether you are going in the right path in comparison to your industry peers, then you can go ahead and find a benchmark group that will allow you to do that. You can find a benchmark group where you can connect things like your HubSpot, your CRM, you can connect your socials, you can connect Google Analytics. There's like multiple different ways that you can find the data that you're looking for.
And for free.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. And for completely free. And then beyond that, um, what we like to do here at Growth is, we know that this can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming. And, there's like lots of different ways to analyze the data. There's a lot of different ways to interpret the data. So for any of you guys that want to have some help and want to get started, but you just don't want to do it alone, you can go ahead and scan that QR code right there, and you'll get a free benchmark consultation with our CEO, Chris Nall. No strings attached. It's not a sales call. It's not a connect call. We'll just help you set up your benchmark group, find the group that helps you answer the questions that you have. We'll help you set up and connect your sources, and then kind of go through with you and help you out and analyze a little bit of how that all works.